Okay, so the season has given us 5 races, so what better time to give you guys 5 things we've learned from this season, and let's have a little catch up. Why not? Fuck it. Welcome to Quick Stop F1. My name is Nasher, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Thank you for watching this video. If you're watching, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're on the way to 6,000 subscribers. Can't wait to get there. Can you help us to get there? And thank you to all of our subscribers, people who support us via members, which you can do below, and obviously the Patreons there for ad-free streaming on all of our podcasts. How wonderful. Okay, so 5 things that we've learned from this season. And I guess let's start with the fact that we don't have the same title race that we thought we would. So, going into this season, we thought it was going to be Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri. McLaren 1 and 2, all of the whisperings out of testing in Bahrain were that we were going to have a McLaren car that was steps ahead of everyone else, miles ahead, would qualify ahead, would roar off into the distance. We were looking at a 2014 Mercedes type situation coming into this season, and that really, given Oscar Piastri's lack of experience and what we saw last season, in which he was out qualified quite humbly by Lando Norris, as well as there being a gap in race pace, I think we all thought, well, this is Lando Norris's title to lose. Fast forward now on Thursday, the 24th of April, and that's not what we've got. What we've got seems to be a 3-way title with, yes, the McLaren boys, but those two the other way around from where we thought they would be, with Oscar Piastri first, followed by Lando Norris, then followed by Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, which we thought would be nowhere near just fun running this season, but it is. The eternal question is, how much of it is Max? How much of it is the Red Bull? There's so much debate online. And look, guys, Verstappen fans, I know you guys like to tussle, okay? There's going to be some praise of Verstappen, but I'm not going to be gargling his balls. So just remember that before you start typing. Okay, here we go. Max Verstappen's done a great job this season. When you look at, I guess, his teammates, which is always a bit of a fallacy because his teammates, this season has been Liam Lawson, who, I mean, one thing we've learned is that Liam Lawson will never drive a main Red Bull car again, and Yuki Tsunoda, who has shown flashes of consistency, but still been moments where he's either getting used to the car or made mistakes. So it's hard to really judge what the pace of this Red Bull car is. What we do know is that it is comfortably in the top 3 cars on the grid, probably top 2 on most circuits. Let's take away, let's say, Japan, and we could say that it's one of the 2 fastest cars on the grid. Now, is it as quick as the McLaren? We don't think so at this point in time, which means in the hands of Verstappen, he is truly maximizing his opportunities in that Red Bull to bring them into a title fight that no one thought they would be in. What does this mean? What are we learning? Well, it means we're learning that Lando Norris needs to get his act together if he's going to win the title. Already, Oscar Piastri is the favourite with the bookies to win the title, followed by Max and then Lando Norris, which shows how far down Lando Norris has gone in the estimations of the bookies, and it also shows how far his stock has fallen. End of last year, we're looking at a Lando Norris. Is he ready to step up this season? Clearly the answer's no. So far, but things can change. We all know McLaren great at updating their car, upgrading their car, and you would think that Norris would have a lot of input into the things that he wants and needs to get that car on track. So you would hope that for Lando's sake, he can come back, but Oscar Piastri looks imperious. If you're going to bet against Oscar Piastri for this world title, then, well, fair play to you. You've got bigger balls than most. Odds on favourite to win now, and I just can't. Personally, what it's going to come down to is this. how consistent can Oscar Piastri be? And B, how aggressive can Max be without it costing him? Now, not to relitigate what happened at the weekend, because I know I don't want to bring up old wounds for Red Bull fans and Verstappen fans. And I know because their guy's being persecuted by the big bad FIA, God forbid he be punished for running off track. But it is going to be tight for Max. This season, he doesn't have the fastest car. And we've seen in those situations going forward, no issues with Max whatsoever. However, when defending, is he going to be able to get his elbows out? With the stricter rules we have this year, 10-second penalties are being handed out willy-nilly. If you look at what Liam Lawson got in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't, these are not very they don't have to do much to get a 10-second penalty these days. Max Verstappen can't afford that, but he also can't afford to let Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris get ahead. So it'll be interesting to see. We're going to have some really good on-track battles this year. Three-way battle for the title. I'm in. Yeah, should be good. For all the pomp that Ferrari started this season with, it's been disappointing. If I could bottle how I felt when Lewis, remember those grainy pictures of Lewis in his suit arriving at Maranello for his first day, and then the pictures in front of the house, and then the Milan day. How incredible was that? And even in testing, there was green shoots of, wow, this car seems pretty easy to drive. He doesn't seem that far off, or Ferrari don't seem that far off. But it's been hard for Ferrari. The beginning of the season, they were way off it until an upgrade that they introduced in Bahrain meant that they did, the pace has come slightly closer for Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton, despite the sprint victory in China, which we shouldn't paper over, okay? I know a lot of people want to paper over the facts, and some people like to point to the fact that some people like to point to the fact that his car, potentially, maybe they were running it lower because, it got disqualified, obviously, the next day in the race. So does that sprint count if it was an illegal car? Well, it was legal for that race. And, I think if certain fan bases were so worried about illegal happenings, then they wouldn't be talking too loudly about some of their drivers' achievements. However, nevertheless, we cannot paper over what we've seen this season. Now, Lewis has gone to a new team, which means a whole host of new things, new environment, new car, within that new car, new engine, new brakes, new gearbox, new steering wheel, for fuck's sake. You have to remember, him and that steering wheel at Mercedes was very fucking intricate. He helped to design that. So he probably felt, honestly, you say it at the back of your hand, literally that was his steering wheel. So, not to say that that is the be-all and end-all for someone being 0.6 per lap of their teammate in race pace, or, the qualifying gaps that there are. But it's tough for Lewis right now, and we're seeing it in his demeanour. He doesn't really see an end in sight to this. But look, we all know, if there's anyone that can turn this around, it's Lewis Hamilton. We're not talking about a Liam Lawson here. We're not talking about a rookie, a Jack Doohan, a Mick Schumacher. Like, we're not talking about a lower level caliber driver. This is a higher caliber driver with incredible experience, and I've got faith that he's going to turn it around. Because look, really and truly, the pressure on Lewis is because of the grandiose nature of the move and the man that he is. You're a Lewis Hamilton fan, you don't even like Lewis Hamilton, whatever. What we can't dispute is the facts. Most wins in F1, most poles in F1, literally the greatest driver of all time in this sport. Expectations are high. Expectations are high for fans, and expectations are high for haters. And when those levels are not met, what do you get? You get feedback. And that feedback can either be negative or positive. And you have a decision. You have a decision as a fan as to how you want to project that feedback onto the world. Mine is that I've got faith in him. Mine is that I believe he'll turn it around. And mine is that we are going to see a glorious, glorious moment at some point in the season when it all clicks in the main race. That's going to make the emotion of Silverstone look like a Looney Tunes movie, because we are going to be in delirium I promise you that. A mixed bag for the rookies. Well, look, speaking of some of the rookies we've named there, if you take a look at the 6 rookies, and I guess we're including Liam Lawson in that, it's been a really mixed bag. I guess if we go from the bottom to the top, so let's go from worst to first. And I guess the worst would probably have to be Liam Lawson. I mean, to be replaced after 2 races is tough. Is tough, but it was going nowhere fast. And really and truly, that goes back to Red Bull and their decision to put him in the car. Something that they've admitted they probably got wrong, and they should have put Yuki in the car and allowed Yuki to have. And the thing is, they had a while. I don't understand Red Bull sometimes in terms of their decision making. They knew that Checo really and truly was never going to turn it around. The decision was made relatively early to get Checo out of the car. Quite why there wasn't an aggressive level of testing given or allowed for someone like Lawson or even someone like Yuki before they got in that car. Knowing the difficulties Checo was having with that car, knowing the difficulties anyone has had with that car, whether that's Albon, whether that's Gasly, for them to not run an aggressive testing regime with Liam to help him get up to speed, it was clear from day one in testing that it was going to be difficult for him, and so it proved. Kicked out after 2 races, with Yuki coming in now and basically trying to learn on the fly, and we all know how that is going. It's inconsistent, and I think again the level is high up here. The saving grace for Yuki is that really and truly, I feel as if that seat is quite safe for him. No matter what happens this season, really and truly, you're looking at the driver market right now. I mean, Lawson's not going to get that seat. Is it too soon for Hadjar? Would they want to give him another season in that car? Max might be leaving. So there's all that. But anyway, Liam Lawson, definitely the worst. Jack Doohan seems to be on the periphery of being fired. We're off into Europe now, and the summer break is around 3 months away. If Jack Doohan makes it past these next 3 months, if he is lining up in a car at the end of August when F1 resumes, I swear, I will eat my hat. In fact, I will eat Barry's hair. Obviously, it's his real hair. And for those of you who don't know, here's a picture of Barry Hart, esteemed presenter of Quickstop F1 News. Make sure you check that out whenever you have the chance. But yeah, Jack Doohan, also not great. And then I guess after that, who have you got? We've got Gabriel Bortoletto, who is just doing okay. Difficult for him to make an impression in that Sauber, but has outqualified Nico Hülkenberg on occasion. So that's all you can really ask for. And again, we're not seeing him do anything ridiculously stupid. And then I think we get into the guys who have done well. Ollie Behrman and Isaac Hadjar. Both of them scoring points, both of them looking comfortable in the sport, and both of them doing better than their current teammate, which is all you can ask for. And I think in those two, we're looking at, you look at rookies sometimes, like, who's going to be around in this sport? Who's going to have a career? Who's going to have a future? I think we could be very safe in the knowledge that those two in particular definitely have a future. And it brings us on to the golden boy, Kimi Antonelli. If you were to look at Kimi Antonelli's results this season, if you looked at his pace and his qualifying and his recoveries, you would think, and you didn't know anything about him, you would not say that he is 18 years old. It is phenomenal what this kid is doing in that car. It's a matter of time before he gets his first podium, and it's a matter of time before he gets his first win. Does Toto look like a genius? He put everything on Kimi. And time will tell. But what we do know is that he's not going to look completely stupid given Kimi's form. These cars are absolutely fucking horrible. Honest to God, these cars are awful. Like, these cars are so bad. Like, it's crazy. We have had so many dud races this year. We're lucky Australia rained, because I hate to think of those cars going around there in the dry. But it's almost as if you start off with a race with so much crash, bang, wallop. you go from that into Japan. Now, look, Japan is on my list of circuits that we need to yeet into the fucking sky because it's no longer suitable unless the cars get ridiculously smaller. The cars are far too big to go around there. They can't follow through the twisty sections, which means that they can't get enough speed going into the straights, which means that you cannot overtake. Get rid. Anyway, we get into China. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton win. Oh, God. Incredible. But the race itself, again, not a great race. And then we get into the last two races. You look at Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, have actually been pretty good. And again, Saudi, some of that is due to the crash bang wallop nature of it, but also because of the fact that we're able to see alternate strategies start to play out, which is going to be key for my next point. Qualifying and clean air is king. Well, look, qualifying is king, clean air is king. Those two together, the higher you qualify, the lot more likely is that you are going to finish there, because no matter what happens with your strategy, the fact that you can keep someone behind and have their tires deteriorate means that you are in a much more beneficial position. Look, it's the reason why Red Bull didn't opt to try and give that place back, if they could have maybe, at Saudi Arabia. It's because they knew. And look, Max Verstappen was able to start pulling away from Oscar Piastri in his fight for first place. And it's going to be clear this season, if you want to do well, you're going to need a fast carring on Saturday, and you're also going to need great tyre preservation. Can you go long? Those who are going long and being able to preserve the tyres are getting benefits afterwards. As we've seen by Charles Leclerc at the weekend and his strategy in the Ferrari. So you're going to need good tyre preservation and you're going to need good one-lap pace. A lot of that doesn't go hand in hand. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But we're only 5 races in and we're no closer to knowing who our champion's going to be. We have no closer to knowing who's going to improve, who's going to deteriorate. We're coming into Europe now, which means, look, there's going to be updates. Imola, you'd expect there to be loads of updates in a couple of weeks' time, as well as Spain at the end of May, I think. Maybe at the end of May, beginning of June. So we know now we're starting to get into the changes of the cars. Who's going to put all of it on the line this year to try and improve? Who's going to put it all into next year for the 2026 regulations? We don't know. But what we do know is that I'm out of time and I'm out of here. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. All of them things there. And remember, no matter what life throws at you, keep it on the black stuff. Until next time, take care.